Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching our Graduate Student Life Design Workshop series. I'm your host, Tracy Garner, and I'm a Life Design Coordinator with the Life Design Center at the College of Charleston. These videos are slightly edited versions of our live hybrid workshops. You won't be able to interact with others, but you'll be able to get a taste of what we do at the live workshops. We typically hold workshops in hybrid format from 12 to 1 every other Friday over Zoom and in the Life Design Lab, Tate 129, as well as one Wednesday per month from 6 to 7 p.m. in virtual format only, both during the academic year. First, we're going to be putting financial wellness in a life design context. We're going to go over basic needs and map some resources for you or somebody else that might need them. We're going to explain why a financial plan should be aligned with your values. We're then going to talk about some specific tools that you might use using a life design lens, including creating a budget. We'll discuss some common financial pitfalls for university students. And then finally, we'll close out by designing a financial wellness prototype. Welcome, everybody. I'm very glad you're here. Today, we'll be talking about financial wellness in university, specifically budgeting, student loans and debt management, and basic needs. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that different students are coming from different backgrounds and are experiencing very different financial realities. Some of you are working full-time and using employee benefits to pay for school. Others might be on scholarships, grants, assistantships, relying on loans or work-study programs, or may even be self-paying. Some of you have caregiving responsibilities, health issues, or other issues that might make managing finances more challenging. Therefore, this is not intended to be one-size-fits-all advice, just some ideas to get you thinking. The good news is life design gives you tools so that you can examine your own situation and design solutions that work for you given your current context. This is not a workshop about doing things the quote-unquote one right way, because there is no one right way. The best financial decisions for you are not those that net you the most money necessarily, but rather those that fit your values, your context, and your life. There's a reason they call it personal finance. It's about you, not anybody else, with the obvious caveat that some folks do have family members that would be materially impacted by those decisions you make. The moral of the story is you need to do what is best for you and your family and what is in alignment with your values and goals. I do need to give a disclaimer before we go any further. I'm not a financial professional. We have our very own financial literacy expert in the Career Center, Liz Cooper. She has a ton of financial literacy resources at her fingertips. I'll be passing some of those on to you today, but if you need more info, definitely check with her. She might be able to refer you to somebody, or you can find referrals through some of her resources. If you're having issues related to financial aid, check with the folks in the Office of Financial Assistance and Veterans Affairs office located in Lightsey, because they know more about the ins and outs of your loans than I could hope to answer. We're not going to be talking about specific dollar amounts here. You're definitely welcome to reflect on these privately. I'd like you to take a few moments to pause this video, jot down a few words reflecting your current thoughts about your finances, and unpause when you're ready. If you're feeling great about your finances, I'm really great to hear that. Stay tuned though, because the tips I'm about to go over today could prove useful for you in case you encounter someone who is experiencing financial distress or in case your situation changes somewhere down the road. If finances cause you to feel nervous, you're not alone. It doesn't mean you're a failure. The economy isn't doing so hot these days, and the university is a significant source of financial stress for many students, so it's no wonder you're feeling the strain. The great news is you're here to get some tools to help you manage that tension. Today, we're going to use a life design lens. Life design is about approaching wicked problems like careers, relationships, or finances with curiosity instead of judgment. We emphasize the lack of judgment because judgment prematurely closes off our thought processes and it obscures the fact that we can creatively develop several solutions to whatever problem ails us. Curiosity combines well with reframing, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Instead of asking the question, why am I so poor? You might try asking, what can I do within my constraints to make life more easier and livable in the meantime? Showing genuine curiosity might open up possibilities that you might otherwise not have considered. Mindfulness of process encourages us to be constantly self reflective whenever we're thinking through our problems, iterating possible solutions, carrying out prototypes, and evaluating the results. Reframing, as I mentioned earlier, combines well with curiosity. In order to move forward meaningfully and design a financial framework that is more in alignment with yourself, your values, and your needs, we need to move away from shame and blame based stories towards more accurate and compassionate stories. And finally, prototyping or bias towards action combines with mindfulness of process. In order to find solutions that work over the long run, design thinking encourages us to develop small, low stakes prototypes or experiments, test them out for a week or two, see how they work, and adjust as necessary. Most of you will probably be at least somewhat familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In case you're not, the psychologist Abraham Maslow developed the theory of the hierarchy of needs to describe the needs or goals that motivate human behavior. The idea is that low items in a lower part of the pyramid need to be met before you can start working on higher order values. So if these lower order values aren't met, the person's going to experience some form of distress until those needs are met. So the lowest layer of the pyramid, the physiological layer, represents foundational or fundamental needs like clean air, food, water, and shelter. I'm going to include money here because in American society, the way our economy is structured, you need money to afford food, water, and shelter. The next layer, safety, which is right here in this darker green section, encompasses physical safety and emotional psychological safety. It can also include economic safety as well, because, for example, you might feel less secure in your financial future during an economic downturn. Above this, in the yellow section, is love and social needs. This layer contemplates such things as fulfilling relationships of all types, as well as feelings of belonging, intimacy, trust, and acceptance. In this light orange section above social needs is esteem needs. This includes such concepts as self-respect, self-confidence, respect or esteem from others, reputation, and prestige. Finally, at the top of the pyramid in the darker orange, you'll see self-actualization. This is the highest level, and it encompasses such things as creativity, personal growth and development, moral development, and pursuit of meaning and purpose. The main takeaway from this is that meeting your financial needs is foundational. That's why I have the arrow pointing here. Meeting those financial needs enables you to take care of your basic human needs, such as food, water, and shelter, and it contributes to your feelings of safety. If you can't meet your financial needs, to the extent that you have trouble meeting foundational needs, you're not going to be able to work effectively on these higher order needs up here towards the top of the pyramid. I'm now going to outline some resources you can utilize to meet your basic needs. Again, if you're not having difficulty with this at the moment, keep this in your back pocket because you might encounter someone down the road that may need it. You'll find this resource list posted in our hub, and I'll also link it in the description below. I do want to note that by giving you these resources, I'm not arguing that students don't deserve a living wage or that employers shouldn't pay a living wage. Rather, given the environment in which we're embedded, I'm just making you aware of what's out there to help if you need it. I do want to emphasize that using a food pantry, emergency fund, or financial counseling service is not a matter of a personal or moral failure, and it's not a matter of laziness. Rather, it's a strategy and a survival tactic. For the College of Charleston specifically, we have access, all members of the community, faculty, staff, and students, to the Cougar Pantry, which is located at 26 Cumming Street in the first floor, and then the Cougar Free Store, which is the first floor of the Sustainability Building at the corner of Pitt and Calhoun. The Dean of Students offers a basic needs program, which is an application-based emergency fund, which offers temporary housing and meal assistance, as well as additional monies as needed to students that are experiencing financial hardship due to unexpected emergencies like illness, death in the family, natural disasters, fire, so forth. if they can prove that financial hardship is impacting their ability to continue their education. There's also the Low Country Food Bank and Low Country Street Grocery, which is available to all Charleston residents. Uh, the bus service CARTA is free for all CFC community members. Financial aid is available. The Office of Financial Assistance is absolutely amazing at keeping up with the constantly changing regulations around that these days. If you have any questions regarding your loans, they're the ones you're going to want to talk to. There's also government food, housing, and medical care assistance. A lot of this is also in flux, so I'm not going to get too specific here, but SNAP or WIC, Section 8 housing, ACA marketplace subsidies are technically still available. Trident United Way is an invaluable resource to help you navigate this rapidly shifting landscape. You can reach them by either calling 211 or stop by their Center for Strong Families. The main office is located in North Charleston. They have one at the Main County Library on Calhoun Street. They also have 2 more offices. If you Google Trident United Way, you can find where their current locations are. They're absolutely amazing at helping you navigate community-based resources and government aid systems. For healthcare, use student health if you are a student. There's also ACA marketplace subsidies and community organizations such as Palmetto Community Care, MUSC Cares, and South Carolina Department of Public Health clinics. As far as financial aid is concerned, undergrads and grads alike can contact the Office of Financial Assistance and Veterans Affairs for help with student loans and other forms of assistance. For graduate students, the graduate school maintains an updated list of available assistantship, fellowship, and scholarship opportunities. Also check with your department in case there's any discipline-specific opportunities. Now let's talk about how your values should underpin your goals in all areas of life, including your financial planning. A personal financial plan that doesn't take your values or goals into account is unsustainable over the long run. If your values don't underpin your goals, your life is not likely to be as rich and fulfilling. Think about the trillionaire that feels dead inside because they're so busy making money that they've lost sense of what really speaks to them deep down inside. Life design encourages a mindset of decision making while keeping our values front and center. Why is this important with respect to financial planning? Because those choices are more likely to be satisfying over the long run, and your commitment to doing what's necessary to meet those goals will be deeper. In addition, especially during periods of economic uncertainty, a strong commitment to your internal values compass will enable you to act more proactively instead of reactively. I want to acknowledge that undergrads in particular may be working minimum wage jobs that aren't really aligned with their values because you're new to the workforce, and values alignment may seem like a privilege you don't have access to at the moment. I would encourage reframing that to something like, this is good enough for now while I'm working on pursuing goals that are aligned with my values. Once you graduate from college, that's going to help you get a career that will help you support those higher values and pursue those higher goals. If you have a significant other with whom you share finances, make the time to ensure that your financial values are aligned with one another because that's going to help reduce conflict and strengthen your relationship by allowing you to work together towards shared goals. If you're currently single or not sharing finances with a partner, keep this in your back pocket in case you do enter into such a relationship in the future. I'd like you to go to the values exercise. I'll link it in the description below, but it's also linked in the PowerPoint. Take that short test. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes to identify your top values. Pause this video while you're doing that. And then once you've done that, take a few moments to reflect. What are the top 3 values that drive your general decision-making process, not just in terms of finances right now? And think about, where do your current financial choices support those values? And then, do you feel tension between your values and your finances? Try to identify some specific ways if you do. Misalignment doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means that you're operating under real constraints. So I'd like to move now into tools that you can use to harness your financial situation and gain some deeper insight as to where you might make changes to enable you to meet your goals. As always, I'm going to look at these tools through a life design lens. You need a budget. Many of us were taught that budgeting means strict rules that suck the joy out of life. Dave Ramsey would have you believe that even one cup of coffee a year might mean you never get to retire. This overly restrictive mindset can make people reluctant to establish budget, particularly if you have low income, because you see more money flowing out than coming in, and you don't really see where you can cut back at all. However, the number one tool for getting a handle on your financial situation is a budget because it makes you more aware of everything you have coming in and out. The important thing is that once you're aware of your money flows, you can make adjustments where necessary to meet your financial goals, whether that means establishing an emergency fund, paying off debt, including student loans, saving for things like a house or a car, establishing a retirement fund, or investing. The neat thing from a life design perspective is that these changes don't need to be permanent. You can go ahead and make your tweaks, try them out for a week or two, see how they work, and then you can continue making changes, or you can just say, this change is working out for me, let's maintain it. Keeping track of this information can be as easy as using a spreadsheet or a phone app like YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget, or Mint. You can find a few templates either linked in the description below or on our hub site, and you'll find these resources and more linked in the helpful resources document, which is also linked in the description below and on our hub site. Some key points that I want to emphasize. First, budgets are descriptive, not moral. You're not a terrible person if you go out to dinner with friends once a month. Just make sure you can afford it. If it doesn't fit into your current budget, see if there are other places you can make adjustments to make it fit. Second, one-size-fits-all budgets don't necessarily work for university students because students do have expenses other adults don't have, such as tuition or fees, books, software. Grad students will have additional expenses on top of that, such as professional development expenses for job search, conference fees, research costs, and so on and so forth. It is completely normal to feel challenged by irregular income and academic costs. The budget's going to help you get a handle on that. Some common components of student budgets. First, we've got to talk about your income. Your most common income sources are going to be earnings from full-time or part-time employment, both for you and anybody else in your household. Funds from a stipend or assistantship, loans, fellowships, scholarships, or grants. Now, these usually don't need to be paid back, but some of these might have requirements that you have to meet in order to not pay them back. Also, work-study contracts. Some lucky students might be getting allowances from mom or dad. All students should be seeking out scholarships and grants very aggressively, at least. If you're a grad student that's not working full-time, seek out fellowships as well. The grad school and the Office of Financial Assistance both have numerous resources on this. If you need help navigating your loan options, see the Office of Financial Assistance, because since these regulations are currently in flux, they're more likely to have up-to-date knowledge. The next thing we're going to talk about is fixed expenses. These are expenses that don't change from month to month, usually. These include things like your rent or mortgage, some utilities, taxes, insurance, childcare. If you need to make adjustments here, you might consider finding a cheaper place to live or taking a roommate. If childcare is bugging you, try bartering with friends or family. If you need cheaper utilities, try shopping around for good deals on car insurance or phone or cable. You can also call United Way and see if they can help you get hooked up with a utility assistance plan. There are other government entities for aid programs that might be able to help as well. Variable expenses are, as it says on the tin, expenses that vary per month. Things like food, clothing, or hygiene, transportation costs. By this, I mean gas, maintenance, healthcare, entertainment. Various sources of help here include food pantries, government aid such as SNAP or WIC, clipping coupons, going to less expensive grocery stores like Aldi, CARTA instead of driving to work every day. If you need help lowering your healthcare costs, consider going to a community healthcare center or ACA subsidies or student health if you're a student. If you need help reducing your entertainment costs, look for free or low cost opportunities such as walking in the park or at the beach, or playing board games or cooking at home with friends instead of going out to eat. Academic costs. The obvious ones include tuition fees, books and software, graduation fees, and job search expenses. Grads shouldn't forget about conference costs and costs associated with research as well. Emergency funds. These are super important because slightly less than half of American households have enough money saved to cover 3 months of expenses in the event of an emergency. Even if you can only put in $5 a month, that $5 is better than nothing. And once you get a better job, once you finish your degree, you can definitely start putting in more. When you're putting together your budget, be sure to include all of these. If money flows into or out of your pocket or bank account for it. Being aware of where every penny goes is the crucial first step to knowing where you can make adjustments if needed. I'd also like to advocate for what we call values-based budgeting. One helpful question to ask yourself is, what do I want my money to support? Even if it's $10 a month, that allocation can reflect a value. That helps us put our expenditures in a context. That $5 cup of coffee may not be a bad thing if it represents spending time relaxing or with treasured friends, but if you're just caffeinating so you can face a hectic day, perhaps making coffee at home might be a better use of that $5. And you can put that $5 somewhere else. I'd like you to pause this video, download one of the budget templates from the description below, and take a few minutes to complete it. If you don't have exact amounts, don't worry for now. Just sketch out a quick map with estimates. You'll have plenty of time to fill in the exact details later. This is just intended to help you get a handle on where you're at currently and where you might want to focus your efforts. It's not a commitment. Once you've done that, I reflect on these questions. What is one value I want to fund, even in a small way? And is there one thing you'd like to change? Now that you have a handle on what's going in and coming out of your household finances, let's talk about something unpleasant, debt. Debt can be good debt, such as student loans or a mortgage, or it can be bad, such as credit cards or payday loans. It's an overstatement to argue that we should shoot for being completely debt-free at all times, because not carrying any debt can actually be more harmful than a manageable amount of good debt in some cases, because of impacts on credit scores, lower pay as a result of not having a college degree, not being able to take mortgage or student loan deductions off your taxes, and there are other reasons as well. Rather, we should strive to eliminate bad debt such as credit cards and manage our good debt wisely. I encourage you to reframe your thinking from something like, how fast can I get rid of this debt, assuming you're referring to something like a mortgage or student loans rather than credit cards or title bonds, to something like, how can I manage this debt in a way that supports the life I want to design for myself? Debt can carry a lot of shame, but it's not a personal or moral failure. It's often the way our economic system is structured and limited choices that cause us to have debt. As far as student loans are concerned, this topic's in a lot of flux right now because of government policy changes. So I'm not going to give a lot of actionable advice here, but offer some ideas about questions you might want to ask the Office of Financial Assistance or your lender. The first thing we need to talk about is the difference between federal and private loans. Federal loans generally have lower lifetime caps and won't be available at all for borrowers in certain programs. On the other hand, they usually have lower interest rates and eligibility isn't predicated on your credit score. So anybody can get it regardless of your credit score. On the other hand, private loans are available to everyone regardless of program or the amount that you've borrowed before, but they do tend to have higher interest rates, fewer protections, and because they will check your credit, won't be available to folks with bad credit. Federal loans tend also to not be available to international students. So if that's a consideration for you, you should probably be looking at private loans. Different loans also have different repayment options. Recent federal changes will impact lifetime caps, repayment options, and other features of federal loans. Check with the Office of Financial Assistance to see how these impact you. The only kind of loan where interest does not accrue while you're in school is direct subsidized federal loans. Interest will not accrue for these loans while you're actually enrolled in school during the 6 months after you graduate, or if you defer it for any period. For any other types of loans, including unsubsidized federal loans or any sort of private loans, interest will keep accruing. Public service loan forgiveness offered borrowers working for qualifying agencies or in certain fields, such as nonprofit, the opportunity to write off their loans after a certain period of time. Recent changes have restricted eligibility for this. If you're interested in a position that might have been eligible, ask your lender or the Office of Financial Assistance if the position would be one for which public service loan forgiveness is still available. We're going to end today by identifying small, doable next steps. These aren't intended to be goals to optimize your finances that you're going to carry out for the rest of your working life. These are just experiments. I'd like you to write down one aspect of financial wellness you would like to work on and come up with 1 or 2 prototypes to try this week. Some examples are I'll track my spending every day for a week, or I'll go over to the Office of Financial Assistance and ask some questions about my loans. Or I'll go over to United Way to see if they can help me reduce my utility bill, or I'll set aside $5 to start my emergency fund. Take a few minutes to sketch out a prototype or two you might try over the next week or so, and tell a friend or a loved one about it for accountability purposes. If you take away nothing else from today's video, know that a well-designed financial life is not about perfection. It's about making changes that reflect your values given your reality and adjusting as you learn. Were you intrigued today by what you heard and you'd like more? You can check our website for more resources. You can attend an in-person workshop, either in person or over Zoom, or you can contact me, Tracy, for one-on-one coaching. I would love to know what you thought of this video and what you'd like to see in the future. Please complete this short evaluation by scanning the QR code to the right. I greatly appreciate your honest and thoughtful feedback to help us improve our programming for future attendees. And here's my contact information if you need it. I'm so glad you joined us today. Have a wonderful day.